Hi, this is Bill Steffen. Someday there's going to be a day just like Friday, and somebody's going to say, "Oh, Bill Steffen would have loved a day like today." It really was a neat day, a little bit on the warm side for some people, but lots of sunshine, blue sky, light winds. It was just a great day to be outdoors, and I spent a good part of the day outdoors as well. All right, a little hi out to the Ottawa News Network people that are watching today. I want to thank you for coming on board with us. Got a picture to show you from Wabasis Lake, and that's where I wound up today. Started out by working in the garage, and we take our recyclables up to Rockford at the landfill there, and you can recycle there for free. But I fill up the car every few months and take them up there. And it was really kind of fun. Almost everybody that was there kind of recognized me. So we had a good time talking. The guy that was doing the sweeper back and forth saw me, and we talked about the weather for a little bit. So it was a lot of fun. This is a picture taken looking kind of southeast. And this is from the bluff on the west side of Wabasis Lake. Wabasis Lake, by the way, is the biggest lake in Kent County, but not by much. It's only by a few acres that Wabasis Lake beats out Lincoln Lake, which is just to the north of Wabasis Lake there. But we saw somebody catch a fish. There were about a dozen boats on the lake, some kayaks. I saw at least 4 swans, a few other birds there as well. So it was really a pleasant day. We stopped and got some food from Culver's and had a little picnic up here looking out over the lake. Okay, a little bit on the severe weather threat here for today. On a more serious note, if you're in South Dakota, that's where the storm chasers are going to be today, because that's where the slight risk is for some wind damage out there. But there's a pretty large dark green area where there's a marginal or level 1 risk that runs from Montana to Michigan. And you can see that covers all of lower Michigan. A marginal risk for some very isolated strong winds with some of the storms that are coming in. Any of the storms that come in could have wind gusts up around 30 to 40 miles an hour, but a few of those could be kicking up near or slightly above 50 miles an hour. So it's something we got to keep an eye on. The threat for tornadoes and hail is very low. We do have a graphic from the National Weather Service here in Grand Rapids to show you, and that shows the threat levels down on the bottom. We go from dark green, which is marginal, slight risk is in yellow, and then enhanced, and then moderate. And if you ever see a purple risk area, that's level 5. We only get about 3 or 4 of those a year across the United States. So you really don't see that too terribly often. But when it gets up into the enhanced outlook there, you should really pay attention. If you look at the graphics on the graphic on the right side there, you can see the chance of damaging winds is in the moderate category maybe, and large hail and tornadoes are both very low. And then we move ahead to Sunday, and on Sunday the map shows southwest Michigan, south of a line from about Manistee to Toledo, is under a marginal or level 1 risk. So we have to watch out for some scattered thunderstorms. There will likely be a chance of thunderstorms again Monday and Tuesday. So we got 4 days in a row here when we'll have at least a chance of a shower or storm. Well, let's take a look at how much rain we're expecting here. And out of the entire country, it looks like the most significant rain is going to be across Minnesota and Wisconsin. Several rounds of thunderstorms could produce some heavy rainfall and some local flooding. You can see West Michigan here is in that dark green color. And if we go to the next map, that's zoomed in to Michigan here. And I put up the data for Grand Rapids that the computer spits out. The low end in terms of rainfall over the next 3 days is about 1/3 of an inch. The expected is about 3/4 of an inch, and at the high end, about 2 inches. So, and you can see it covers pretty much the entire area here. So if you get one batch of thunderstorms that goes north of you, you may catch the next one. There will be several of them here over the next 4 days or so. Okay, we're going to take time out right now to thank one of our sponsors, Complete Care Concierge. Have a listen.
Need a fast, efficient, and affordable cleaning service? Complete Care Concierge has you covered. Serving all of West Michigan, we offer one-time, daily, weekly, and bi-weekly cleans, plus move in, move out. We also service apartment hallways and laundry rooms. Our work is guaranteed, gift cards are available, and we even clean on weekends. There's no better way to say I love you than giving a tired mom a break from dishes and laundry. Are you a busy professional? Pamper yourself by taking vacuuming and dusting off your plate. Office manager, keep your business looking and feeling its very best. Call 616-264-1397 today for a spotless space and total peace of mind.
We're just looking at high temperatures. Grand Rapids made it up to 88. Benton Harbor, the warm spot at 89. Once again, Battle Creek was cooler than just about everybody else at 84. Remember, Battle Creek had 3.7 inches of rain. The soil is moist, and some of that sun's energy is being used to evaporate water rather than heat the air. So it is just slightly cooler there. And that's something you can forecast. If you were making a specific forecast for Battle Creek, you might go 2 degrees cooler than Grand Rapids on a given day. With the Muskegon Airport, the high temperature here was, and I wrote that down. I didn't put it on the sheet there, did I? Let's see, Muskegon, 85 at the airport. It was 82 at the Muskegon Beach and 80 out at the end of the pier. That difference would have been greater were it late May or early June when the water temperatures are colder. But as we get into late summer here, that difference isn't quite as great. So let's take a look at the lake forecast here for the day tomorrow. We're calling for southwest winds, and oh, by the way, just the sunrise and sunset time here. We've got 6:50 and 8:42. And again, solar noon when the sun is highest in the sky is at 1:47 p.m. Record high temperature for the day, 99 in 1913. That was the year my father was born. Record low was 40 in 1942. And nice picture there from a couple days ago of sunrise over by the Muskegon Channel there. Now let's take a look at the lake forecast. Got things in order here. Winds south to southwest, getting up to about 10 knots in the afternoon. Waves could be 6 inches in the morning, but then up to about a foot during the afternoon. Water temperatures, look at Ludington at 77. That's behind the break wall there, so if they get full sunshine, they can warm up a little bit. Mears 71, Duck Lake at 76, Muskegon 75, Hoffmaster at 71. They've been running a little warmer than average. Now they're cooler than average. Grand Haven was up 8 degrees from 60 to 68. South Haven at 76. That was the buoy temperature, but probably the same at the shore. And Reeds Lake was up to 84.5 at one point, but much of the day they were 82. And again, it depends. If there's really light winds, then that top couple inches of water can really warm up. But as soon as the wind comes up, it starts to mix the water a little bit, and the water temperature usually drops by a couple of degrees. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Tropical weather. We have a major hurricane developing. It's not a major hurricane yet. It is Aaron, and you can see the storm on the path. By the way, that yellow X is going to be nothing. There's virtually no chance of that developing into a tropical storm, so that will scoot off to the northeast. Aaron is the big concern anywhere in the world. It's like the only hurricane there is right now going on anywhere on Earth. But you can see on the right side how that ramps up and becomes an M, which is major hurricane, as it's really kind of interesting because this storm is kind of avoiding land. It was coming toward the Lesser Antilles, turning to the north. It looks like it's going to go between the United States and Bermuda, so Bermuda shouldn't get hit very hard by this. But of course, stay tuned for later forecasts. What's really interesting is if we go to the next map out in the western Pacific Ocean, there's nothing going on. There's not even a tropical depression, and that's really weird for middle of August out there. And you can see again, in Africa, every day is the same. You got totally clear skies up toward Egypt. Then when you get into Sudan on down to about Malawi, you've got scattered showers and thunderstorms along what's called the Intertropical Convergence Zone. And then in southern Africa, over to around Australia, they get just day after day of beautiful sunshine there, even though it is winter and it's cooler there in the southern hemisphere. On we go, taking a look at headlines for us. Partly sunny skies, won't be totally clear like we were here much of the day on Friday. Warm to hot this weekend. Warm when there's thunderstorm clouds around, but hot when the sun comes out. It will be more humid. You'll notice that here this Saturday and Sunday. And there will be a chance of a weekend thunderstorm or two. Taking a look at the forecast here for what's ahead. Our high temperature today, I'm going for 89. I think there'll be too much cloud cover around to make 90, but if you get a couple hours of sunshine, it may hit 90. Low temperature early morning at 69 under partly cloudy skies. Humidity drops to a low of about 55% during the day, and that wind again southwest at around 10 miles an hour. Some high temperatures for Saturday and Sunday across the state of Michigan. We're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s where we are. South Bend reaches 90, Chicago 93, 90 over in Detroit, and 87 up in Traverse City. And if you look up in the UP, a little bit cooler up there. One of my daughters heading to the UP for a week's vacation, and they should have a nice, comfortable day to start out here. That is Saturday. Let's take a look at Sunday. And Sunday's temperatures will be a little cooler because of the possibility for some clouds and rain. I expect we'll be in the mid-80s here across a good portion of southern lower Michigan. Still 89 down in Chicago, but comfortable 70s in northern lower Michigan. In fact, Gaylor there only gets 71. They should catch a shower or thunderstorm, and their winds will turn more to the north behind a little bit of a cool front. With the north wind off Lake Superior, Marquette only gets to 65. Oh, interesting. Look at the 5-day forecast. Calls for a chance of showers and thunderstorms here. 88 today, 86 is what I'm going for tomorrow. That's at the Ford Airport in Grand Rapids. If you're north of Grand Rapids, it won't get quite that warm. That 91 is wrong on Monday. We should see temperatures back into the mid 80s here. I forgot to change that one. And if we take a look at the percent chance of rain, 50% for Saturday, 40% Sunday, 60% for Monday and on Tuesday. So we got a good chance for picking up some rain. Any rain next Wednesday would be 20% chance during the early morning. So most all of the day, including the evening, is going to be dry here next Wednesday. And the long-range outlook, which has been giving us cooler than average temperatures, does that for the fourth day in a row. So we get into that period from about August 23 to 26, and I expect temperatures in the daytime will be in the 70s here. Hot weather continues down in Florida and also in the southwestern U.S., but the Great Lakes and the East and New England, comfortably pleasant. And in terms of rainfall across the area, we're anticipating near normal to maybe even slightly below normal rainfall for that period, August 23 to 29. There will be some scattered showers and storms out in the Rocky Mountains. We are hoping those don't touch off any more wildfires. Sometimes they get lightning that can touch those off without a lot of rainfall. And Alaska seeing rather above average precipitation pattern as well. Okay, I believe Michelle is at the airport tonight working. We got a question for Bill here. Why do they name tropical storms? You know, I could talk for about 10 minutes about this. It turns out way back a long time ago, tropical storms were named after the saint of the day. If it was St. Paul's Day in the Catholic Church, it would be the St. Paul's Day hurricane. That way they kept the hurricanes classified by what day of the year it was. And then that kind of fell by the wayside for a little bit. And then there was a guy in Australia that started naming storms for a little bit, and then that kind of went away. And eventually here in the United States, it started, I believe, down in Florida, where they started naming hurricanes with girls' names. And that continued for a couple, 3 decades until I believe it was the late 60s or early 70s, fairly recently, they decided to include, in fact, I think somebody sued actually because the names were only female names. But I don't know that they agreed to make them half female and half male, which is what they do right now. And it's interesting that they have a list of names. They have 6 different lists of names, and those 6 lists rotate back and forth. So if you have 1980s list, that will rotate again in 6 years. then certain names are retired, like we'll never have another Milton or we'll never have another Helene, because those were very significant hurricanes. We're never going to have another Katrina. There's another one for you. But some names, Bill just keeps popping up every 6 years, and it's never been a significant enough hurricane to retire the name. It's just kind of like baseball players. They retire the jersey if they're really, at a high enough level in terms of their play. Okay, all right. So that's a little bit on tropical storm names. Next, we have Aaron right now. I forget what's next right now. Fernand maybe coming next. Okay, all right. Well, we'll go into that in another day when those pop up. But the hurricane season is very very quiet so far this year. We haven't had a lot of damage from hurricanes worldwide. I do expect that to pick up though in late August and in early September. The peak of the hurricane season, by the way, is September 10th. Okay, enough on that. Let's go on right now and take a look at what's next. John Meppelink sending us a picture from the Marquette Airport. And MQT, most of the airports have a 3-letter code, and that code is often related to an abbreviation for the particular city's name that it's nearby. So Marquette is MQT, Grand Rapids is GRR, Muskegon is MKG. There are a few exceptions. Nashville is BNA, and so everybody refers to it as Bananaville. So that's interesting. Okay, thanks for the pick, John. I think we have more on Marquette coming up in the slideshow here, and we'll see if we can go to that. Marquette Airport on a former K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base. In fact, I believe the call letters for some of the data are still SAW for Sawyer. The base was closed in 1995. It operated for 40 years, and going back to World War II, I believe. There was a guy named K.I. Sawyer. He was a civil engineer and a Marquette County road commissioner. He thought Marquette needed an airport for development and the iron ore industry. The runway is fairly long, 9,072 feet. By comparison, the runway at Kalamazoo is only 6,502 feet. Lansing is 8,506. I've taken off from there before. I don't think I've ever taken off from Kalamazoo before. I don't think so. And then Grand Rapids has a 10,000-foot runway. It's a 10,000-foot runway. How they got to 10,001 feet, I don't know. Probably one-upped somebody that had 10,000 feet. But Grand Rapids has a long runway. Air Force One can land easily at Grand Rapids if need be. So it's interesting. Okay, let's go on to the next slide here. And there's John Meppelink, another slide. He took a picture of the front of the plane there, and this is the back of the plane. And I wish I knew my planes. I'd be able to tell you more about it. My daughter, Michelle, who works for the airlines industry, she would know a lot of planes. And my father knew all of the B's and the P's from World War II because he was in the Army Air Corps. All right, what next on the list here? Now we have some tragic news to pass along here, some rather sad anniversaries here. First one is August 16th, 1858. It started out with the first hot air balloon flight in Michigan. It was a tragic tale. The flight was successful, but pilot Ira Thurston accidentally let go of a rope hold while landing. The bag shot into the air with Thurston clinging to it. Ooh. The bag came back down 4 hours later. Thurston's bones were discovered a few miles away. Oh, not good. So he hung on for a few miles there, but that was sad. And what else do we have here for us? I love hot air balloons, by the way. Gail and I got married and went out after the reception and took off in a hot air balloon. Okay. August 16th, 1958, this singer was born in Bay City. She dropped out of the University of Michigan, where she had a dance scholarship, as all that success made her a material girl. Well, that gives it away as to who it is. But what really gets me is look at the date she was born, 1958. My sister was born in 1959. So let's see, 58, that would be 42 plus 25, that would be what, 67? Can you believe Madonna is 67 years old? Collecting Social Security. She could have been a member of AARP now for 17 years. Pretty amazing. And let's go on to the next slide here. That was, and there is Madonna. And it doesn't say where she was performing or anything like that, but the Material Girl is 67 years old today. Wow. Okay, what's next for us here on our list of stuff? This singer died on August 16th, 1977 at the age of 42. Now that I could probably tell you who this was just by that first sentence. He was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, and then moved to Memphis, Tennessee. His biggest hits include Jailhouse Rock, Love Me Tender, and Blue Suede Shoes. Of course, to a meteorologist, his favorite song would be Kentucky Rain. Okay. That, of course, was Elvis Presley. And you know what? You really ought to look and see there's videos of YouTube on YouTube of Elvis playing piano. The guy was a great piano player, as well as a guitar player, singer, and, hip maneuverer, I guess. But Elvis Presley dying tragically on this date in 1977. And what else do we have here for us on this day? Baseball legend. This baseball legend died from cancer on August 16th, 1948. His real name was George Herman, and that gives it away right there. He was born in Baltimore, Maryland. He was nicknamed the Bambino and the Sultan of Swat. He played for the Boston Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Boston Braves. He was a multi-position player. He was a great pitcher, by the way. And, of course, we're talking about Babe Ruth, who is arguably the best player ever in baseball. Now, it's very hard to compare that because of the fact that the game is so different what it is. We've got different baseballs, different bats. Everything is different now than it was back then. But quite a talent, George Herman Ruth, the Bambino, passing away on this date in 1948. And let's go on to the next slide here. I'll be able to show you that, I believe. There he is, Babe Ruth. You know why he was such a great hitter? The guy used two bats. No, I'm just kidding. But that was him warming up. Everybody does that. With the days when I played baseball, I would grab two bats in the on-deck circle and swing them back and forth. He doesn't really look like he'd be the best baseball player in history, really, but he, arguably was. Interesting. All right, next slide for you here. We have the Transatlantic Telegraph was inaugurated on this date. August 16th, 1858, the first message was sent by cable, ran from Newfoundland in eastern Canada to Ireland. Initial messages were greetings between Queen Victoria and President James Buchanan. The cable was later closed down due to poor signal quality and damage. Today, fiber optic cables run across 6 inhabited continents to connect the world's internet. And it's amazing. There's so many amazing things that go on in the world, and so many important inventions that have come like in the last 150, 200 years or so. In terms of communication, we have communication satellites up there now. In terms of aviation, we flew our first airplane at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903. And, in 1969, just 66 years later, we put a man on the moon. So we've really made strides. And everything you see around you, I'm looking at my computer, lights, the car I drive and everything, how much better they are than they were, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. So interesting. Okay, let's go on to the next slide here. And this is from Dave Verhoeven, taking a picture of look at the sign, vehicles must stop. Well, there are a few cars that are designed to be both cars and boats. And you can look at those on YouTube. There's not very many of them, only a handful in Michigan, but I would say that's a pretty obvious sign. Interesting. Thanks for that, Dave. And let's go on to the next slide for you here. This is from John Doherty. This is a goldenrod flower spider. And as you can see, it is looking good there. We love spiders when they eat bugs and take some of those bugs that bother us out of the system. But some people are scared of them, you know. So it's kind of interesting to see these little critters and how they work, spin their webs. A very interesting little demonstration of the laws of physics there. Okay, thank you, John, and thanks to everybody who sends us pictures. There's one from John Scully. We've got a long picture there looking out over Lake Michigan on a mostly cloudy day, it looks like. And I'm guessing we were at Area 7. So we're looking out over Lake Michigan, and we've got just a little wave action there, not much. Waves have been pretty light here of late. In fact, this whole month of August, we've had a lot of days with waves only around 5 to 10 feet. So thank you, John, for that. And thanks to all of you who send us pictures. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, and that is at Bill Steffen 616, just like the area code. And BillSteffen.com, there's more there. I occasionally make other posts. I haven't done too many of those of late, but I will do more once we get into winter and I'm not doing so much outdoors. So, John, thank you so much for the picture. I think we are done right now, and I can tell that because I'm looking at the picture of me in the snow from July 22, north of Lake Louise in Alberta, Canada. And you can see there's a little bit of a lake with open water down there, and beyond it, the glacier, which is many feet thick. And I will never forget going up there and getting my paper cup out and drinking a glass of glacier water. Have yourself a good day. Stay cool. And don't forget, we're in that marginal risk area for severe weather. So if I am available, we are going to a picnic in the evening. But if I am available, I will be updating Facebook and X. So you can check me out there. Thanks again for staying with us until the end. Have a wonderful day.